Darts were my go-to game back at happy hour when I was in college. I absolutely love playing darts, but yeah, I have a brother who played D3 baseball. You're not going to beat these athletes at these hand-eye coordination games, to say the least. But
It
speaking of
sucks.
darts, Justin Herbert, he can throw some darts, that's for sure. He threw 38 darts for touchdowns last year, and he has two top-notch receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Add in Austin Eckler, and Herbert may have one of the best offenses in the league, and he is a top 10 candidate right now for NFL MVP over at BetMGM. But BetQL, they're not as high on Justin Herbert as everybody else. They are only projecting Justin Herbert to throw for 31 touchdowns this year. So, Jenks, love it or fade it. Is Justin Herbert going to go over to 37 touchdowns this year?
I am fading this. I like the over. This is a guy who set NFL records for passing yardage and passing touchdowns in his first two seasons. Justin Herbert is only going to get better. And you mentioned Allen and Williams. He has those guys. Eckler can catch out of the backfield. And one thing that I really think that I'm going to take into account, even though there are teams in this division, including the Chargers, who have tried to upgrade their respective defenses, when you have such a talented set of quarterbacks in that division, I mean, top to bottom, Mahomes, Herbert, Russ now, Derek Carr, I think we're going to see a lot of points and a lot of prolific scoring from these teams, which means if you're the Chargers or you're any other team in this division, your quarterback's going to have to come through to either play catch up or to at least keep pace. So I think this number is low. I expect the improvement from Herbert. I'm going to fade this.
Yeah, I'll fade this too, just because I would not be caught dead taking an under on Justin Herbert. This is somebody who is entering the season with a ton of hype. I think a lot of people think he's just going to get better, which the bar is already set really high. Looking at his numbers from last year, he was one of the most prolific passers in the league. 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and second in the league with over 5,000 yards of passing offense. So no, I'm not going to fade Justin Herbert as he's getting older and wiser, and Brandon Staley actually figures out ways to use him a little bit better. He has great weapons, and looking at this number that BetQL set, 31 touchdowns, there were 7 quarterbacks that threw for more than 31 touchdowns last season. So I don't think Justin Herbert has that big of aggression, even if you are saying, well, the running back game, the run game is going to be a little bit more prolific. I don't think that's the case. When you have a weapon like Justin Herbert, you use him, especially in the red zone. So I'm going to fade it. I think it's another big year for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with both of you on this. If you have a player and he has a new coach and a new offense and he's still young, he has a great season, and then he has continuity going into the next season, you would expect him to be better. So I don't know why both BetMGM and BetQL are undercutting Justin Herbert here, but if he had 38 touchdowns last year, I think it's possible he can get 40, maybe even go up past that. So yeah, I'm not sure where they're getting these numbers from.
Nope. Beep, boop, beep. No one knows. No one knows. They're using one of those old school, like TI-69, the calculators.
Nice.
I know
Good
it's
reference.
not TI-69. It's probably like TI-71. Does anybody else know what I'm talking
TI-83.
about? Yeah, TI-83. Those
TI-83.
calculators were like $100. And they're like, you
Yeah.
need this. I'm like, do we?
Yeah, and people
Do we
just
need
played games
this?
on them the entire time.
It's like, play Snake for $100. They're like, no, you need to be dividing imaginary numbers. I'm like, when am I going to use this? And guess what? Spoiler alert, Miss Fritz, I didn't ever use this. So I was right. You were wrong.
We're getting back to some more mainframing. Trey Lance, the BetQL model is extremely high on him. They have him throwing for 28 touchdowns this year. The total at BetMGM is set for only 21.5. So, Chelsea, do you really think that Trey Lance is going to throw for nearly 30 touchdowns this year?
No, I don't. Absolute fate here. Just because it is more about the Niners' offensive philosophy. Last season, Jimmy Garoppolo only threw for 20 touchdowns and threw for 3,800 yards. It was not a prolific offense. And I know the potential on Trey Lance is super high, but also he has potential to run the ball. He is extremely athletic and extremely dynamic with his feet. And usually this is a crutch that rookie quarterbacks kind of lean into, just because if nobody's open, if they go through their progressions once and nobody's there, they're going to run the football. So I think the fact that he has that added talent to him is also going to take away from the touchdown totals. I think this is too high. I would still go under for Trey Lance.
Oh my God, I'm fading this all the way to the bank. I'm fading everything Trey Lance. And let me explain myself. I like Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance being good in the NFL is something that's going to happen. He was a stud at North Dakota State, but that is a big step up. And I keep saying this, I'm going to keep hammering it home. He's thrown a total of 71 passes in the NFL. Matt, I think it was you who made a really good point about you compared him, at least maybe an early comp is to what we've seen from Jalen Hurts in Philly. And Jalen Hurts hasn't come close to this number as far as throwing the football. If we were talking about combined touchdowns, now that's different because Trey Lance can run the football. We saw that last year. We saw it in certain situations, particularly inside the red zone when Kyle Shanahan would design a run for Trey Lance because he can use his legs. I think he'll continue to rely on that until he develops into more of a pocket passer. But for this guy to throw this many touchdowns this season, I absolutely do not see it. I think this is way too high. I'm fading it and going under.
Honestly, this is my favorite fade of the offseason. I'm on all of Trey Lance unders. I didn't do any unders for his rushing props or anything, but for his passing props. Under 21 touchdowns, Jimmy Garoppolo in the same offense didn't hit this last year. I made that comparison to Jalen Hurts. He didn't even hit 20. I just really don't see how he hits this. I mean, Deebo Samuel has rushing incentives in his brand new contract, so I expect him to be rushing the ball a little bit more than he receives it, but I don't know. I just really find it hard to make a case for him to be throwing nearly 30 touchdowns in a run-heavy offense that plays really good defense. I don't know. I just can't seem to put the pieces together to see how in tarnation he gets anywhere near 30. But anyway, from one inexperienced quarterback to one that's a little bit more experienced, Tom Brady. He turned 45, so naturally you'd think Father Time would be doing something, but no, Mother Nature has other ideas. He threw for over 5,000 yards, 43 touchdowns last year, and the simulation this year, not so friendly. They have him throwing just 29 touchdowns. BetMGM has his over-under total set at 33.5. So, Jenks, love it or fade it, Tom Brady is not going to reach those 33 touchdowns.
You dumb donkster. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Tom Brady's 45. He's old. I'm going to go with only 33.5. You dumb donkster. Ridiculous. Oh, wait. The simulation has him throwing just 29 touchdowns. You think Tom Brady is only going to throw 29 touchdowns this year? Absolutely not. What have we been saying for 10 years? The donkster is a decade behind, one full decade. He thinks that Tom Brady is going to eventually regress. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. We've all learned the hard way that fading Tom Brady usually ends up in you being a loser. He's got Mike Adams. He's got Mike Evans, I should say. He's got Chris Godwin. They signed Kyle Brady, who I think is going to be great as a backup. They signed Russell Gage. Tom Brady called him personally. I think Tom puts it together in a very weak division and hits this number easily, so I'm fading it.
I don't think this is even fading or tailing Tom Brady here. This is just a matter of the fact that the Bucs throw the ball a ton. Looking at Tom Brady last season, there's a reason that he led the league in yards, in touchdowns, because this is a pass-heavy offense that also is very good at beating up on bad teams. If you look at some of their numbers against some of these bad teams in their division, which they also play in a very soft division, at least the bottom two teams. Maybe the Saints will be a little bit better this season because they won't be especially banged up, but still, it's just an offense that likes to throw the ball a lot. So, no, I'm not fading Tom Brady either. Are you kidding me? No, get out of here.
As a native New Englander that really cannot stand the Patriots and Tom Brady, I would love to love this, but I just can't because, as I said, I grew up watching Tom Brady in a Patriots uniform doing incredible things. And then I thought, oh, he's going to Tampa. They're not as good as the Patriots. And then next thing you know, he's doing even better things. And it's just like, he's never going to stop. And I was a little bit more of a fan of the love of this before the Julio Jones and Russell Gage signings because of Chris Godwin's injury. But I don't think he's going to miss a beat. I cannot love this, unfortunately.
Well, and also
I'm fading
look
every
at the
single
Bucs
one of these.
Yeah, look at the Bucks before they got Tom Brady. Jameis Winston got this number. He had 33 touchdowns. So if Jameis can get this number, I think Tom Brady can too, because it's just a pass-heavy offense. I think the haters are going to say, oh, well, his center just got hurt. Tom Brady has done more with less before. How dare you? It doesn't matter. Tom will find a way.
Way to go, Donkster. Fading the Orioles, who have been a big money winner this year, actually, not just over the weekend, and fading Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. Real nice, Donkster. Real solid. We'll see what you have in play for us coming up in about a half hour.